going to call the June meeting of the Fountain Hill Borough Council to order. I would note for the record everyone's here with the exception of Councilman Roof. I'm going to ask everybody to stand, say the pledge, and then I'm going to ask for a moment of silence on behalf of AD Day and B, the victims and the children in the shooting in Texas. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item on the agenda, as always, is the approval of the minutes from the May 18th meeting. I looked at them, I didn't see any. Anybody find any changes? Seeing and hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Ms. Jordan, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Trable. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Privilege of the floor. Anybody sign up? Anybody on the sign-up sheet? Anybody wish to address council on an agenda item? Hearing and seeing none, we'll move on to the mayor's report.
I have nothing this month except to thank the school for last minute job to let us do the memorial service.
I also would like to thank the school. I thought they did a nice job. I was disappointed a class or two didn't come in to be there. They usually send a class or two down to the Triangle. But that was my only complaint. Borough managers report.
So to touch on what you and the mayor said, a big thank you to Fountain Hill Elementary. Next year we'll see if we can't make that request for a couple more students to participate. I think it's an important message and a very important event. So, but otherwise it went well. They saved us. The rain ended up holding off, but had we not moved it, it certainly would not have, and we all would have been drenched. So, just a quick update. Mr. Keith Zahner has been on the job since last week for the zoning and code enforcement position. As we alluded to when we appointed him, when you all appointed him, he brings a wealth of experience. He's assimilating into the role quite nicely, and probably knows more about zoning than I do. So he's off and running. It's working out great, and it gave me time to do things like proofread the minutes. So he's a welcome addition. The ARPA funds, the local relief funds, we should be getting our second disbursement either this month or in July. Which will be equal to last year's, which was, what, 200 and some thousand, Ms. Voges?
Yep.
So one of the things they discussed at PSAB that I thought was interesting and was not necessarily clear in the early guidance was if a municipality was awarded less than $10 million, you could take the revenue replacement option without having to show any proof of actual revenue loss. And it's a much easier reporting standard. In fact, it takes 5 screens and makes them 2. Initially, we selected infrastructure and that was prior to me being here, but at the time, that's what we intended to use the funds for, so it made sense. The CPA who was talking at the conference believes that because it was put out by the federal government and it was difficult to understand, that there will be some period where we'll be able to revise what we're using the funds for. And when we do that, Ms. Voges and I talked that we'll put something up here that says that we'll probably move to revenue replacement just because from a reporting standpoint, it's much, much easier. But we still obviously intend to use the funds that were allocated to the Stormwater Authority from last year for infrastructure there. And we need to figure out as a whole here that what we want to allocate this year's funds for. So those are forthcoming sooner than later. We'll keep everyone up to date on that. Little update on the road projects. There was a rumor going around that I think was started by somebody in one of the holes out there on Broadway. Like I whispered it. I'm serious. It was like one of the guys. But that PennDOT had pushed paving until next year. In talking to both PennDOT, the project manager or the consultant, and Great Western, UGI, and also the PennDOT inspector on site out there, they still intend to pave this year. That's both good and bad for us because obviously we would like to have the curb and sidewalk in so we don't have to cut the road to do that. But that said, what you see out there now are temporary repairs. So regardless of whether they're paving or not, once all the laterals are done and the digging in the street is done, the patch repairs, although not as smooth as a new road surface, will be far better than that minefield that is out there right now.
And if I could interrupt you, and Mr. Zofko's in the house, so we've been talking about resurfacing Broadway when he was president of council in the 90s. So it's a long, long time coming.
Yeah, it's the same contractor who's finishing up Susquehanna. They're at the tail end down in Allentown there. The idea was, in PennDOT's world, was that they were going to turn around and start milling and coming down our direction. That was honestly an unrealistic timeline. UGI is looking at the second week in July to finish their work with all the laterals, and then they have to do the restorations and whatnot. But the ADA ramp contractor had to come through first for PennDOT, and we have not seen a concrete contractor yet. So it is looking like it's pushing further and further back. But again, what you see out there, even if it has to linger over winter, will not be that bad, I can assure you that.
Let's hope. It can't get much worse.
That is very true.
It's like a ride in Torrey Park.
I think I lost my Audi in there, actually.
So the curbing on 1215 Broadway, front and center and all this stuff, the curbing is not gonna happen this year?
No, our curbing project's going to happen. We went through an arduous PennDOT permitting process. That permit now, our HOP permit, was awarded. So that work, the bid is prepared to go out, and hopefully we'll have movement on that soon.
They're working hard, they're pushing it hard.
Are we going to be doing any sewer line work?
So there's some stormwater work in updating the infrastructure on Broadway, but I don't know that that's going to involve actually trenching Broadway. Maybe bolstering the facilities on both sides to enhance the stormwater drainage, and then looking to tie that back into the 60-inch stormwater main pipe that runs actually through the parking lot here. So the answer is yes, but I don't think it's going to require excavation at this point.
Just wondering, so that would be good to get all that, if we do need that, we could get it done before we start doing anything else.
Yeah, I was ambitious and hopeful at the beginning of the year that this timeline was all going to work out, and now I'm just at the point where I'm just hoping it gets done. So, not to be pessimistic, but yeah, well, exactly. It's just so we'll get there. It's just I appreciate everyone's patience, and I trust me, I drive over it too. I'm not overly happy with it, but we'll get there hopefully sooner than later. The other borough road projects, we have some motions tonight to award them. The only one that's outstanding is Warren Street is getting ready to go out for bid and advertisement for a mill and overlay to go up Warren Street, so we can try and save that before it needs a total reconstruction, because Jason's concerned it's not going to make another winter. The one that sadly we're going to have to hold off on is Sioux Street this year. That reconstruction will get pushed to next year, mainly because all of our bids came in well over the estimated amount. And that is just indicative of material costs, labor costs, and the fact that contractors are just overwhelmed with work, so they're not exactly competitively bidding.
Warren Street needs a board to sue.
Yeah, I mean, Sioux's bad, but I think we can spot repair that. But Warren is very dangerous for the crews in the wintertime plowing, so we need a firm base there. So that's the only one outstanding. And again, we had an ambitious schedule this year to accomplish and get Sioux Street done. We're going to, it's still on the list, it's still a priority, it's just we're going to have to go to next year with the cost of everything right now. So, at the PSAB conference, the State Association of Boroughs I attended, Mr. Blatt was awarded for 25 years of service, and Mr. Trotter for 20 years of service, so congratulations to those gentlemen. They wouldn't give me their awards, I think they were afraid I was going to run away with them, so. But they will be forthcoming and be displayed wherever they would like. The final update, the playground program, Miss Laverriere, who is our coordinator, started today actually, and was over at the playground building. She's extremely ambitious and excited. She's starting to inventory, clean up. She's looking for what we need to purchase that will bolster the program for this year. She also, on her own, without my direction, kind of submitted some general rules of conduct that were included in your packet. Nothing earth-shattering, but I think it,
Very impressive.
yeah, she was an excellent pickup for us. She's taking this very seriously. She's very squared away, and she's very ambitious.
And I'm happy to see the morning program come back.
Yeah, we have 3 for morning, and we will have 3 for night when the young man who actually attends most of the council meetings here, Marcus, he has COVID, which is why he's not here tonight, why we didn't get an interview. So he will, or he's on COVID quarantine rather, and he'll be interviewing as soon as he's able to. So yeah, and he'll be our 3rd nighttime person. And then we have a couple other people who've expressed some interest, so we'll see what the turnout is and whether we need to increase or not. So that's pretty much all I have.
Thank you very much. There's nothing for new business. Resolutions, we have several. The first one is 2022-21, a resolution of the Fountain Hill Borough Council appointing Dr. Mark Noble to the zoning board as an alternate for a 5-year term. His letter of interest was in the packet, and he looks like a solid candidate. Is he here? Oh, he is here.
There he is.
Hello, Doctor. Anybody have any questions for him?
Just welcome.
Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve that resolution 2022-21. Mr. Trotter, is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Johnson, any questions? He's a solid candidate, it looks good, and we will go to a vote. Ms. Jordan?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Trotter? Mr. Trable?
Yes.
Ms. Graham?
Yes.
And myself says yes. Welcome aboard, sir. Next item on the agenda is Resolution 2022-22, a resolution of the Borough Council of Fountain Hill authorizing the intergovernment cooperation agreement by and between the Borough of Hellertown and the Borough of Fountain Hill for the use of the pool. We've talked about this now for several weeks. The resolution's in front of you, the agreement's also in front of you. It's been approved by our solicitor, it's been and with our pool being down, at least for this year, it's a good compromise, I believe. Is there a motion to approve that? Mr. Trable, is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Johnson, any other questions on the motion? Hearing none. Ms. Jordan?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Trotter?
Yes.
Mr. Trable?
Yes.
Ms. Graham?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Our citizens will have at least a pool for the summer.
And it's, we'll get those details out in something easily digestible, both through traditional communication means here at the borough and also online, so.
This is a good thing. Next one will be 2022-23, a resolution of the Borough Council of Borough of Fountain Hill authorizing an intergovernmental cooperation agreement by and between the Township of Salisbury and the Borough of Fountain Hill for the transmission of sanitary sewage through the borough. This has been the subject of litigation for what, 2 years now, at least?
Yeah, I think,
And
I
the
think actually
mediator
three.
down at the, down in Philadelphia at the suggestion of the Commonwealth Court got us together. The language has been sent back and forth. It's in your packet. It's acceptable, Mr. Berger?
That's correct.
All right, it's acceptable. Is there a motion to approve that and put this matter to rest?
So moved.
Ms. Jordan, is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Johnson. Any other questions on the motion? We've been talking about this for a long, long time. Hearing and seeing none. Ms. Jordan?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Trotter?
Yes.
Mr. Trable?
Yes.
Ms. Graham?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Let's put this thing to rest. Ordinances for final passage. None? All right, I don't know, this is the correct order, I guess it is. 863, which will amend the conduct up at the park to include tobacco, vaping, and the like. And this is for final approval.
Yes, these all were advertised, actually longer than the requirement, and we received no public comment to make any changes.
All right, is there a motion to approve ordinance 863 to prohibit all forms of tobacco usage at the park?
I'll make that motion.
Ms. Johnson, is there a second?
Second.
And Ms. Graham. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Jordan?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Wait, do you have a question, Phil?
Yes.
No, do you have a question?
No,
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. All right, so we have Ms. Jordan as a yes, Ms. Johnson as a yes, Mr. Trotter, Mr. Trable, Ms. Graham,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Next motion, or next ordinance would be 869, amending the code of we're raising the fines from $25 to 75 to 100, or from 25 to 75 or 100 for a third offense. We've talked about this. This was done at the chief's recommendation. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 869? Mr. Trable, is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Graham, any discussion? Any questions?
Just a point of clarification, that's for large truck parking, and it makes the first offense a $25 fine, not a warning, since we have no ability to track warnings in the new police records management system that the county purchased. So that is the biggest change on that, is first-time offenders will get a $25 ticket for offending.
And when you say big trucks, you mean to tractor trailers or big box trucks?
Yes, yeah, that's a commercial vehicle. It is defined in the full text of the ordinance online.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Ms. Jordan?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Trotter? Mr. Trable? Ms. Graham? And I vote yes. Ordinance is approved. Next item is ordinance 870. The outdoor lighting ordinance. I wish Mr. Roof was here. Can you just give us a quick synopsis, Mr. Gretz?
Yeah, there's not too many changes. This was done prior to Mr. Berger taking over with Mr. Lair, who was able to incorporate some additional clarification on lighting spillover and light pollution to enhance our zoning ordinance. So that is adding that language. This was reviewed by House and Ordinance Committee and moved favorably prior to council voting to advertise it.
Is this going to go in the zoning ordinance?
It is, yes. It amends Chapter 27, which is zoning, Part 5, Section
All right.
507.
I hate to be a killjoy, but doesn't this have to go to the planning commission to be approved? Don't we have to have a public meeting on this first?
I mean,
No, I think anything to the zoning, it has to go to the planning commission, it has to have a public meeting. When Don Lipson was here, he insisted on that stuff.
well, I mean, that's certainly if it's something you want to table the ordinance. Again, this was something that went on before I had knowledge of taking over. So if it's something that we want to table for right now,
Well-
look into going in front of planning.
I don't want to challenge to the procedural passage of it if it comes to that.
No, I understand. No, I understand. Which is why that would be my recommendation of anything if that's a concern to table it. To go ahead.
Can you look into that and have somewhat of a report for us by the June 22nd meeting?
Yeah, I can have a report in that everyone will have knowledge of at that June 26th
I
meeting.
would appreciate that. Okay, with my concerns on the record, is there a motion to table it? Do we need a motion to table? Is there a motion to table
So moved.
870 to the next meeting to allow the solicitor to look into the procedural issues of passage?
So moved.
Ms. Jordan, is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Trotter? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Ms. Jordan,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter, Mr. Trable, Ms. Graham, and I vote yes. Those are the ordinances, I believe. Next item on the agenda is to extend the probationary period of.
You're missing a page.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not on the backside of it, is it? Huh? Throw me one of those from the pile there, please, Cordova.
all missing a page.
All I know is
We have the three, okay, motions. All
There
right,
you go.
There we go. I think we're all missing a page.
There was a lot of paperwork. We'll forgive our poor clerks assembling this. That would be why. Luckily they were in your memo.
All right. Under the motions, awarding the bid for the Jeter Avenue reconstruction project in the amount of $172,087, basing contingency to Cobalt Construction, the lowest qualified bidder. That's in your packet. I believe Mr. Yost has approved it.
Yeah, Ms. Smith
Ms.
wrote
Smith has
the,
approved it.
recommended that we approve the bid.
Is there a motion to award the contract?
So moved.
Ms. Johnson, is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Jordan, any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Ms.
Where are we on?
The first one.
The first one.
Motion.
Okay.
Hearing none. Ms. Jordan.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Trotter. Mr. Trable. Ms. Graham.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Second motion, awarding the bid for the Delaware Avenue resurfacing project in the amount of $237,891 to Asphalt Maintenance Solutions, the lowest qualified bidder. Is there a motion to approve that and award that contract?
I'll make that
Mr. Trotter, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Trable, any questions? Hearing and seeing none. Ms. Jordan?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Trotter?
Yeah.
Mr. Trable?
Yeah.
Ms. Graham?
Yes.
And I vote yes. It's my street. Next motion is to award the bid for the Broadway and Delaware Avenue pedestrian crossing project in the amount of $239,456 to Marino Corporation. This is another matter that we've been talking about for a very long time, and it's gonna happen finally. Is there a motion to amend or to award that contract?
So moved.
Ms. Jordan, is there a second? Mr. Trable, any questions? And for the audience, I would point out they're gonna take down the school crossing signs, which are right now unenforceable, and put up the pedestrian crossing signs, which will be enforceable. That's primarily what's being done?
Yeah, it's a whole new modernized LED crossing crosswalk with brand new striping and yeah, replacing the school signs. So.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Ms. Jordan,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Trotter.
Yeah.
Mr. Trable. Ms. Graham.
Yes.
And I vote yes. It's a long time coming. Next item on the agenda is to approve the hiring of Ryan, how do you pronounce that? Gunia as a part-time seasonal recreation assistant at the rate of $15 an hour, and that's subject to all the approvals, I assume?
Yeah, they've completed all their background. Both he and the next candidate have completed their background and their child line clearance.
All right, is there a motion to approve his hiring?
So moved.
Ms. Johnson, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Trable, any questions? Hearing none. Ms. Jordan?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Trotter?
Yeah.
Mr. Trable?
Yeah.
Ms. Graham?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next motion item is to approve the hiring of Andrew Lavernier as also as a part-time seasonal recreational assistant at the rate of $15 an hour. And he has his clearances also, I'm told. So is there a motion to approve his hiring for the summer?
So moved.
Ms. Johnson, is there a second? Mr. Trable, any questions on that motion? Hearing none. Ms. Jordan?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Trotter?
Yes.
Mr. Trable? Ms. Graham?
Yes.
And I vote yes. We have a staff. Next item on the agenda, we approve the transfer of $12,531 from the Health and Sanitation Fund to the General Fund to cover the repair of the leaf collection machine used for leaf recycling. That was in your packet. It was Ms. Vogus's memo. Are there any questions about that? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve that?
So
that
moved.
transfer? Ms. Jordan, Ms.
Second.
All right, we'll give it to you, Mr. Trotter. Any questions? Hearing none. Ms. Jordan?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Trotter?
Yes.
Mr. Trable?
Yes.
Ms. Graham?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Now we're up to the extending the probationary period of Mr. Brian Lean of the Public Works Department until such time as his CDL Class A exam can be scheduled, and I guess they're running, what, 5-6 weeks behind?
Yeah, so he's rapidly approaching. It's the first week in July, and Mr. Quarry tried to schedule, and they told us it's 5 to 6 weeks out. So we just want to make it official that we're extending it till he gets it scheduled.
Is that because the tests are back up?
Yes, yeah, the testing centers are backed up between a lot of candidates and a lack of instructors.
That's not going to affect any compensation due to it, is it?
No, we just reimburse the cost of the program, so he'll just get that reimbursed once he completes it.
All right. Is there a motion to extend the
So moved.
probationary period? All right, Miss Jordan, is there a second?
I'll second.
Miss Johnson? Any questions? Hearing none. Miss Jordan?
Yes.
Miss Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Trotter? Mr. Trable?
Yes.
Miss Graham?
Yes.
And I vote yes. We'll get it done. Old business. All right, here we go. As you may recall, there was a motion that passed to close the pool on a permanent basis by a 3-2 vote. Since then, there has been some comments made. Mr. Zofko, how is your meeting, and when's the next one?
Mike Zocco, 507 Green Court. Can you check?
I got Mr. Zofko. I don't see your green light. It might have timed itself up.
Who do I gotta touch?
The big button on there. Just turns on there, Mike.
Okay. Mike Zofko, 507 Green Court. We had a meeting about 3 weeks ago in which I gave a presentation for approximately 25 people in this room. Thank you for the use of it. Whereas I presented a PowerPoint presentation to the group, we talked about ideas. Since that time, we've been fairly active, but it's been a trudge. The things that we needed to do is I needed to get a 501c3 certification. That was quite a bit more expensive than what I thought it would be.
The last time I looked, it was a 33-page application.
Well, in addition to that, President Black, I also had to write 20-page bylaws, and also had to write a 10-page organizational document. So it's fairly extensive. I submitted it to a person, an attorney friend of mine in Hellertown for review, and I intend to do the application. That will also incur a charge of $600, which I intend to assume. But until that time of the approval, which could take from 90 to 120 days, I can't accept any donations. I can just talk about things.
Well, you can accept them, they're just not tax deductible.
Yeah, but it's we want to keep this as above board,
No, I understand.
so as much as possible. In addition to that, we have made extensive contacts in the community, extended community, to both elected representatives as well as I've been going after foundations, for operating money. Things look very encouraging. Okay, I've got appointments when I get my certification. Okay. So, by the way, that's rules are the rules. It's a bureaucracy. Okay. So this is taking a bit longer administratively than I thought it would be. However, on a positive note, the spirit of the group that we've got together is extremely vigorous. Okay. We have what I'm going to say 60, what I'm going to call dedicated active members. We also have people from the petition, which count about 130. But in addition to that, we put up a Facebook money in, we have offers of people to give some extensive amounts of money, okay? One as much as $10,000, which is really great, okay? We haven't accepted it, that's in our back pocket. We'll use it when we need it again, we'll get the certification. And we haven't gone out after any, what I'm gonna call large organizations yet. So, it's going, administratively, it's slow, painfully slow. However, I think, I intend to go out as, I'm in charge of the fundraising committee. So I intend to go out and pound the table as a Southern Baptist minister type and try to get some funds available for what we have. My fear is that you'll lose patience with me, okay? I know you gave me a year. Hopefully you'll be patient with me some more, okay? Because we have to get these things done. Obviously, I'm not gonna walk into an office and they're gonna write me a check for $250,000. That's certainly not gonna happen, that's a fantasy. But it's things we can get things rolling. So, I sent an update to the borough manager. I intend to do so on a monthly basis to tell what's gonna happen and what's new. Things that you might see in the very near future will be an official website in which membership can be there. All the information will be transparent on that, which means the bylaws, the organization, all that kind of information is there. We want everybody to see it. There's no secrets here. We also intend to put out membership yard signs, okay, sort of like support your local police, things that you see, something non-obtrusive, but to show that these people are interested in not only saving the borough, because you, as well, you know, I'm more interested in bringing and abetting and encouraging a more community spirit as much as I am to save the swimming pool. You have any questions for me?
Mr. Zonka, I was gonna ask you after the meeting, don't you have to register your group with the state also?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, because
State feds.
when I looked, that was not done.
Oh, no, it's not that.
All right.
Okay. Oh, yeah, again, I'm waiting, I don't wanna do this twice. I don't wanna submit something, have it bounce back, and I'm waiting another 120 days.
I got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know what I'm doing, Marty. So,
And-
that's, we also have to have an EIN number, which I just applied for.
And when is your next meeting going to be?
We wanted to schedule a meeting for the end of June, but we found out that there was just so many people that were on vacation or whatever. So we're gonna use that field logic and try to schedule something for July.
Okay. If you would keep us in the loop on that, please, we'll certainly make the building available again. And I couldn't make the May 12th meeting, but I would like to be there.
So we know you're here in spirit. We'd like to make it on a Saturday morning.
That's fine.
That's not
That's
a
fine.
problem. Mainly because people have been giving feedback that it's hard to make it in the evening and they want to make it, they said Saturday, so we'd like to try that. Again, Spirited Group, I'm very proud of them. I mean, they're coming out of the wall. It's been really good, okay? So it's encouraging, and if you have any questions, by the way, if there's any questions, concerns, feel free to give me a call or contact me at any time, and I'll try to answer.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Zopka? We want to thank you for the hard work you've done.
I appreciate it.
Right.
It's a cooperative basis.
Jason, you've spoken several times. Do you want to add anything?
No, just
Anybody else want to speak out for or against?
Mr. Zofko, now you get your blessing for the meeting. We'll iron out a date then for July.
Very good.
So
All right.
shoot me an email.
So the question was raised by Jason at the last meeting that if there's any chance to reopen the pool, we have to run the pumps this year for sure. I'm not exactly sure why. I don't understand the technical stuff, but it has to be done, and he needed a decision very quickly. Now, Mr. Berger, help me out. This would be a motion to rescind the prior motion to close the pool, or this would be a motion to just to
No, we're doing a motion to amend that motion that got passed. So what happens is, because you've done the motion to present it at this meeting, all we need is a majority vote of the board if you want to amend that existing motion, which I believe is to permanently close the
And
pool.
the amendment would be to not permanently close the pool, or just to run the pumps for this year, to keep our options open?
Well, I think what you would be doing, you would need.
Do we need a vote to amend and then a vote for whatever the amendment would be?
Correct. So you're going to have to vote to amend the pool, however that amendment takes place, whether it's closing it for the 2022 year, however you're going to decide to do that. If you do amend the vote then to only close the pool for the year, then what you would have to do is for whatever work that needs to be done to the pool for the possibility of it opening next calendar year, you would have to make a motion
All right.
to have that done.
All right, so as I understand it, the first motion is to amend the motion to close the pool permanently to close the pool for the 2022 season. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is there anybody willing to make that motion?
So moved.
Ms. Johnson, is there a second?
Second.
All right, Ms. Graham. We've talked about this a lot. We've heard a lot of pros and cons. Oh, are there any questions? Hearing none. Ms. Jordan.
Well, you think I'm not gonna watch you do this, I'll vote yes for this.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Trotter.
Yes.
Mr. Trable.
Okay.
Come on.
It sounds like a yes to me.
That's a yes.
All right, Ms. Graham.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, now, so the prior motions amended to the 2022 season only. Now we need a second motion to authorize Public Works to do what's necessary to keep the equipment active.
Correct. To keep the equipment active, should the borough decide to open the pool in the 2023 season.
All right,
I'll make that motion.
all right. We have Ms. Jordan making that motion, and I guess making it active is usable. Workable is a better word.
Yeah,
All right.
keeping it in sound maintenance. is
Right,
how
sound
we-
maintenance.
We would take that.
Okay. All right, we have Ms. Jordan's motion. Is there a second?
I second.
Ms. Johnson, any questions? Again, we'll go down the list. Ms. Jordan,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter,
Yes.
Mr. Trable, Ms. Graham,
Yes.
and Mr. Black, yes. Okay, and again, okay sounds like a yes to me. All right. So just to clarify, we have decided to close the pool this season only, but do what's necessary to keep it in as workable condition as possible.
Yeah,
And
and
just
I
as
will
a-
let
Just
Mr.
as another note, I am so impressed with you, Mr. Zofko. I
And-
always was, but
As am
more
I.
now, and I've known him all my life.
Just one last thing, it's sort of funny. If we would have considered ourselves a church, this all goes away. Considered that.
I will get with Mr. Quarry tomorrow, and I will leave to his expertise as to what the extent of maintenance that needs to be done to quote unquote mothball it for this year. So.
The President's report.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes,
Thank you.
please, thank you. The President's report, I've talked about it, the Memorial Day event, I thought went well, it was well attended, I thought. I was disappointed, at least we didn't get a class or two of students down, but I felt good for the band. It was a very sweltering day, and in their uniforms, they would have been sweating. So at least they were inside, and I felt good about that. And we never forgot what it was all about, not picnics and that sort of thing, baseball and beer, but it was to remember our board did. So I want to thank the school again for that. Solicitors report. Mr. Berger, is there anything else you wish to add?
The only thing to talk about tonight is to get some direction from the board with regards to the existing collection actions. I know there's been some discussion with the staff here at the borough and with me about what to do with some of these incredibly delinquent accounts. We've been very successful in collecting on some of the smaller accounts and the medium-sized accounts. Usually when we file actions and then go execute on personal property levies, it gets them to start making payments, it gets them to start moving. Now we're getting to the point where we're dealing with incredible problems where the fees and the outstanding municipal monies owed are close to $7,500 to $10,000.
Are these commercial properties or residences?
I believe it's mostly residential properties, but it's a mix of both.
And I assume we've offered these people a payment plan or some means to get caught up?
Correct.
And they
So part of
defaulted on that also?
Well, no, part of the problem you have with something like that is when you're substantially delinquent, If you're gonna be making small payment plans, which most of the time when people are substantially delinquent, they're asking for small payment plans. One,
It would
they
take
might get
forever.
caught up to what they all owe, but it's still putting them behind on what's constantly getting invoiced. So you're currently constantly going to stay behind with something like that. But to be honest with council, usually what you see at this point to get things moving, especially for some of those substantial accounts, is taking the possibility to take these properties to sheriff sale. Ultimately, what ends up happening for a lot of these properties is that if there is a mortgage assumed with that, because your municipal liens would take priority over the mortgages at any sheriff sale, if you usually send a letter to the mortgage company, or they'll get notice just based on process. It's called a 3129 affidavit. So when they receive that notice, most of the time, the mortgage companies will pay that outstanding balance and then pass it along to their mortgage borrower. The reason being is that they don't want to lose their secured asset on their mortgage. So by taking it to this point, it gets those accounts paid, and then it takes it out of the borough's hands, and then we're dealing with the mortgage company. But it's a step where you start taking residents' properties to sheriff sales, so ultimately you have to leave it to council, however, how far they want us to take some of these delinquent accounts.
Well, this has been talked about extensively off and on over the last 10 years or so, and I know there's been some reluctance to have sheriff sales, but again, I think it's unfair to the people who pay on time. I understand the hardship, and we're willing to work with people that are in hardship and want to try. But I think a lot of people are just spending their money elsewhere and not paying their bills. I'm one person. Anybody on the council have a comment pro or con with sheriff sales?
Is it possible to find out if there is a mortgage lender of record and send a letter to them first? Is that worth it?
So actually, I've looked into that issue. To me, in my opinion, that's a violation of the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, because I don't believe we can reach out to a third party and advise them of somebody else's debt other than in a legal process, meaning they get legal process when you take the property to sheriff sale through a 3129 affidavit, because by law we have to send those. But just generally sending a letter to a mortgage company, my concern is that does violate the FDCPA. I can't say for sure that there's case law that it is, but the penalties of violating the FDCPA are so substantial that it's really not worth it for the borough to take that step.
And I would agree with that. Or let's put it another way. Is anybody against the sheriff's sale option?
I think one of the things that we probably want to do, and again, we don't need to take any definitive action tonight, it's just something that we wanted to finally address that, but maybe a threshold for, what do we consider that highly delinquent account? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Voges, we have a few that are over $8,000, correct? So, I mean, we have some egregious, what I would call egregious offenders. That obviously would be the first step, but, at some point we should develop a threshold of, where are we, above this number is where we start that process.
Well, again,
The finance department, the finance committee, we had met a few years ago.
2019.
Going over some of the accounts.
2019, we haven't done it
I was
since.
driving an ambulance then, so
Yeah,
you're gonna have to refresh my mind.
we met with Cordula and we looked at the accounts that were really delinquent. And
Yeah, I would like to see a list of the top 10 or 15 of the most.
maybe we could do that
delinquent
again.
accounts.
The finance department could sit with Mr. Gatz and with Cordula, and we could make some decisions, and then
Sure.
we
Now,
could-
Mr. Berger, do we need to scrub that of addresses and names? To be fair
Yeah,
and
I mean, that's
impartial.
what I would want to do is we'll just make it blind where, I mean, we
Right.
have a list where we have it by addresses, but I'm not particularly comfortable giving addresses and names in
No,
that
we just
spreadsheet,
need,
but we'll
we just
number
need
them
the
out.
amounts. The amounts
And
of
whether
money.
they've had a payment plan and whether they've
Yep.
defaulted.
No, absolutely. And I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Yeah,
And that's,
yeah.
we obviously feel that way, but I
Alright.
just,
Yeah.
okay.
I also have another question. Have any of the communications been sent via certified mail?
So the communications, if I recall, the way the process works, get sent certified mail. If we get no response to the certified mail, then that's what triggers the filing of the complaint. The complaint that gets filed, then that triggers service by certified mail or personal service. 9 times out of 10, it's certified mail. And then as long as they get the certified mail, the hearing gets scheduled and the hearing gets held. I mean, there are certain different things, like we have some people who are in bankruptcy. When it's in bankruptcy, we can't exactly reach out to them directly. We have to go through counsel if they have it. But it's all person by person. But those letters do go out certified, and honestly, sometimes they're certified and regular mail, because sometimes people don't like to pick up their certified mail. But
Oh, yes.
correct. So if the regular mail doesn't come back, then we know they're getting their mail, that type of thing.
Alright, I just wanted to make sure that there's some kind of process to at least get them to sign something and acknowledge that. There's no way that they can go, they've never contacted me.
No, and really what it comes down to, and I've gone to some of these hearings, they have it. They just don't understand how to pay it, or if they can pay it, if they don't have the money to pay it. It's just a whole set of things that I hear. But I mean, nobody is that they're not going to get away with the excuse if we didn't know we had to pay our municipal bills, that kind of thing.
Right, yeah, okay. I just, eyes dotted, T's crossed.
Anything
Yeah.
else? Anything
I
else,
think
Mr. Burrow?
also that's why it's important. Like some of these, the $8,000 ones. I mean, that's clearly years in the making. So
At $800 a year, it's at
Yeah.
least 10.
yeah. So just to understand what I'm hearing from what it seems to be the consensus, that we'll set up a finance committee meeting, Ms. Voges, myself, and if we need to loop Mr. Berger in, I know where to find him, and we can figure this out and move forward from there. So I'll make that happen.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anything else?
Oh, you want to do that? Okay.
Yeah, we can. I mean, it's just tabled, so we're in the same meeting, so we could.
Fair enough. So while the rest of the meeting was going on, we did end up looking into this. Your zoning ordinance and your ordinances do allow council to make the change without having to go in front of the planning commission.
Oh, really?
Correct.
Yes.
I thought the municipal planning commission.
108, Mr. Yeah, go ahead. Keith found it.
Yeah, and a quick blurb of running out the room and looking up some reference material. The zoning ordinance, absolutely, it says it's council's discretion. But the MPC appears, and of course, Solicitor Berger could maybe have to weigh into that. It says if the amendment originated other than being prepared by the planning commission, it's got to go to the planning commission.
Well, this is, I don't
Like
believe,
if Mr. Grant wrote it up on his own.
I don't believe the planning commission had anything to do with this.
No, it came from House and Ordinance Commission,
Yes,
actually,
exactly.
is who
So it's
initiated
gotta go to the
it,
planning
so-
commission before it's considered by us?
Correct. I mean, based off of that, correct, we would need to have.
Which means then,
planning commission.
section 108 of chapter 27 seems to be in direct contradiction with
Yeah,
the
I mean,
municipal
that
planning
points
code.
out just another issue, probably a conflict between the MPC and the borough zoning ordinance.
Shocking, absolutely shocking.
So we'll add that to the things we should probably clean up as well. But again, just we were actively looking into this while the rest of the meeting was going on, so I just wanted to quickly interject that. So we'll make that happen. That it needs to go to planning then.
I just don't want any procedural challenges that might be successful.
And honestly, I don't know that we're certainly fortunately not addressing these on a daily basis, and that the minor adjustments in this ordinance certainly don't give us reason to believe that a little bit of pause to go through the planning commission process would be detrimental at all. So.
All right, anything else, Mr. Berger?
No, that's it.
All right, committee reports, finance, Mr. Trotter.
Please refer to your lists of expenditures from borough funds in the month of May. And from the general fund was $278,962.74. From the health and sanitation fund, $62,992.88. From the sewer fund, $111,093.09. From liquid fuel fund, $6,477.32, and out of the fire fund, $573. Make a motion to approve all those disbursements from borough funds in the month of May.
We have a motion, is
No,
there a
second.
second? You said it, Ms. Jordan? All right, Ms. Jordan. Any questions on that? Hearing none, Ms. Jordan?
Yes?
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Trotter?
Yeah.
Mr. Trable?
Yes.
Ms. Graham?
Yes.
And I say vote yes, pay the bills. Next, committee would be Public Works. I don't see Jason here. Do you have a report, Ms. Jordan?
No, I have no report. I would just like to thank council for getting our leaf machine repaired.
You're very welcome.
And Mr. Quarry's daughter has her final soccer game of the season tonight, so I pretty much insisted that he would not be here tonight.
Absolutely, he has an excused absence. All right. The police, I don't see the chief here. I have nothing.
He is on vacation. Yeah, did he give you anything?
No, no.
All right, I hate to even bring this up, but when will negotiations begin?
So we're in June. That was the suggested starting period by our labor attorney, Mr. Miller. So we are starting to, from the administrative side, we're going to start the process and then loop Mr. Miller in and go from there for both CBAs.
The sooner the better. All right. House and ordinance, Mr. Roof is not here. We tabled the other one, actually, to get sent to the planning commission, so that's that ordinance. Fire, Mr. Treble.
For May, we had 10 emergency calls. We spent 16 emergency response hours. We have 116 man-hours in fire school training and 11 hours for like the work detail, including new engineer service. Total of 130 total man-hours for a month. Thank you. So end my report.
Thank you. Recreation, Ms. Johnson, I think we have a start date and a tentative end date for the park, correct?
We have a start date, which is June 13th, I believe, that Monday. Morning 9 to 12, evening 6 to 9, so that's great. I'm not sure what the end date that's been proposed is, but I'm sure it will do with staffing.
Yeah, it's in August, and as soon as Miss Lavernia gets me her date to go back to college is probably going to be our determining factor. We're going to try and go as late into August as we can.
Yes, I'm also looking at the cost of some movie rights so that we can schedule some movie nights at the playground, which I believe she also said she could help staff as well. So that's great. Looking at a couple dates for a community yard sale. Would like to make sure we have a recreation committee meeting scheduled for this month on the 22nd, so we can go over those dates and get a consensus for that. And then hopefully we can get some planning going on the community garden so that we can get that up and running for the beginning of next planting season.
Good, excellent. The Blatt family will sponsor one of the films.
Great, thank you.
I told you that, and it's not changed. All right. Thank you. Health and sanitation, Ms. Graham.
Okay. For the month of May, our garbage total is $43,138.85. Our sewer total is $159,486.18, with a grand total of $202,625.03. That's it.
Thank you. Personnel, Mr. Trotter, anything to add? Doug?
No.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. Okay. Specialist select committees, anything from the hospital? Fire?
We had an emergency vehicle operations class this past, literally 2 days ago. We had about 10 people drive the new truck through a professional course, just so we have all that, and everybody drove the ladder truck also. I'll be supplying Eric with the certificates once they get in here, so so at least we have 9 people that can drive.
That's a good thing. All right. Will's not here, so we will have nothing from the
I'd like
library.
to say something about the
Yes.
library, even though
How's Books on the Hill
I
doing?
have to say something.
How are
about
Books on the Hill doing?
If Will's not here, I just wanted to remind everybody that I was trying to bring it up on my phone. I don't have all the information here, but Cleveland, our librarian here in the borough, she had just posted something about for the summer they're going to have am I right, on Mondays? They're having a little activity up at Books on the Hill. I think it's about poetry, and it's an interactive thing with the children. So I encourage everybody to check out, not just that, but all of the hours that we're open up there. I think summertime will be the big time for everybody to really discover Books on the Hill. That the kids won't be in school, and maybe mom and dad can walk them up and get a book for themselves. I'm really encouraging everybody to go visit because it's really beautiful. So that's just the library cheerleader.
And I saw something about that on Facebook, I think. All right, I think anybody who I missed for special or select zoning, do you wish to add anything? Welcome aboard, Keith. All right. Privilege of the floor. Anybody wish to address council on any item whatsoever? Hearing and seeing none, there's no executive session. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn. Our next meeting is June 22nd. I will not be here that night. Ms. Jordan will serve in my absence.
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Mr. Trable, a rising vote. Thank you for coming. We'll see you on the 22nd, or some of us will see you on the 22nd.